Om Shri Ganesha Gurubhyo Namaha. In one of our earlier sections of the Guru Tattva series, we spoke about the first two incarnations of Lord Dattatreya, namely Shripad Shri Vallabha and Shri Guru Nrsimha Saraswati. When Nrsimha Saraswati Swami decided to end his avatar, he retired to the forest of Kardalivan near Sri Salem and remained in a meditative trance there for 300 years. An anthill had formed all over him. One day, a woodcutter who visited the forest to get some logs of wood accidentally struck this anthill and was taken aback to find blood oozing out of the anthill. With trembling hands, he uncovered the anthill only to find a yogi in deep meditation. The woodcutter feared that the yogi would curse him and be furious for disturbing his meditation. But surprisingly, the yogi slowly opened his eyes, smiled affectionately at the woodcutter, and said, "Son, do not fear. You have woken me up for my spiritual mission." This yogi was none other than Swami Samartha of Akkalkot. Swami travelled far and wide in India, all over the country. That time it was Akhanda Bharat. He travelled north to Badri, Kedar, Rishikesh, to Gujarat, Dwarka and Girnar. To the east he went to Jagannath Puri and also to Calcutta. Down south he visited Rameshwaram and Kanjipuram. After travelling far and wide, he decided to appear at Mangalveda near Pandharpur. Mangalveda has a special importance in the Varkari Sampradaya, that is, the devotees of Lord Vitthal. Many Varkaris, many spiritual people or saints are supposed to have been originated from Mangalveda. To name a few, we have Tsokhamela and Kanopatra. Mangalveda, Swami remained there for about 12 years from 1838 to 1850, after which he decided to go to Mohol, which is also near Pandharpur. Both at Mangalveda and Mohol, Swami continued his spiritual mission of uplifting people not through theoretical discourses but by practical experiences. After staying at Mohol for 5 years, Swami travelled to Akkalkot, which was then called as Prajnapuri, and remained there for 22 years till his Mahasamadhi, which was on 3rd of April 1878. So Akkalkot is called the Karma Bhumi of Swami Samartha. Akkalkot is a city which is in the Sholapur district. Swami's ways of giving his message to people was by actual experience. It was not merely through words or discourses. To name a few instances, once he brought to light about how we are still rooted in our material life and we still aim to become spiritually very great. One example he gives here, one example which is to be mentioned here is when a rich man, a wealthy man, visited Swami, wanted to take his darshan, and along with him came a number of his servants and a paraphernalia. He was decked in jewelry and he had rich robes on his body, and he was the wealthiest man in whichever place he came from. After prostrating in front of Swami, he sat down and said, "Swami, by your grace, I have got everything. I've got all the material wealth that I can ask for. Now I want Brahmadnyan." Swami looked at him and said, "You will get Brahmadnyan after I die." Now he said it in Marathi as "Me Melyanantar." Me means I, Melyanantar means after death. So he says, after I die, you will definitely get the wisdom, the ultimate truth. You will definitely get that. The man, wealthy man, was shocked, and along with it, the devotees who were there of Swami around him were also shocked. One of his very close devotees who took a little courage and said, "Swami, what are you saying? If something happens to you, if you die, who's going to take care of us? We are your children. How can you say that after I die, this man is going to get Brahmadnyan? We don't care about this man, we care for you." Saying so, the man, the devotee, started crying very bitterly. Swami laughed at him and said, "Arey Murkha," that is, "O foolish one." Of course, it was said affectionately. Even his abuses were like pearls of wisdom for people. He said, "Arey Murkha, you do not understand. I said me Melyanantar means after I die. Now here I means not me. It talks about the I, the ego in this man. This man has come here in front of me with his entire paraphernalia of servants and workers, and he has got so much of richness all over his body. How will a person who is still decked in gold ever think of the ultimate truth, that is about the ultimate goal, the Brahman?" He said, how will he get Brahmajnan? So unless his ego dies, he gives up all his material desires, he is not going to get Brahmajnan. That's why I said me Melyanantar. Me means the I in him, that is the ego in him. The wealthy man felt very ashamed of his whatever he had flaunted in front of such a great saint. He begged for pardon. Swami blessed him because saints are always gracious. He blessed him and he told him the only way in which you can start climbing the path of spirituality is by chanting the Lord's name. Another instance which tells us about how Swami did not like people who followed anybody as a guru. According to Swami, a guru need not be always physically present. A true bona fide master will make his presence felt around his disciple or around his devotees. As Ramdas Swami also has told us that if I am not there, so what? I am present in my Dasbodh. Dasbodh is the Grantha, the book that he has written. He said, if you read it, then you find me in it. Mauli Jnaneshwar also has said that you will find me in my Jnaneshwari and my Amrit Anubhav, in my Haripat. So all these great saints and even Jagat Guru Lord Shri Krishna has said that you will find me in my Bhagavad Gita or my Bhagavatam. So these are gurus who are called Grantha Gurus. So they guide us. They are the shining beacons to those who want to find the ultimate truth. They will never cheat you because they are the source of all knowledge. So like Lord Dattatreya had told us that out of his 24 gurus, one of it was the honeybee. Because the honeybee goes to the flower for the nectar. It doesn't move here and there for collecting nectar. It goes straight to the flower and picks up nectar from there. And that it stores in the hive. In the same way, he said a true seeker goes to the source of knowledge, and the source of knowledge either is the guru, who is supposed to be a true bona fide spiritual master, or it is the Grantha Guru. The books can be our guru also. Swami was of the opinion that when the fruit is ripe, the birds will fly towards it. Means when the disciple is ready, the master appears. Swami did not believe in all those people who had occult powers and would mislead people on the path of spirituality. To give one instance which is very interesting, Swami found that one of his devotees was not visiting him for quite some time. Swami knew the reason, but this incident was for us to get some knowledge. He then told one of his sevaks that go to this devotee's house and find out why isn't he coming and taking my darshan. I have not been seeing him for quite some time. Find out what is the reason for it. This sevak went to that devotee's house and told him that Swami has called you immediately. That man hesitated to come, but ultimately it was Swami's order, so somehow he trudged along with the sevak. On coming to Swami and prostrating in front of him, he said, Swami, you ordered for me to come. What is it about? Swami said, what happened to you? You have not been visiting me for quite some time. Is there any problem? Is everything okay at home? This man said, yes, Swami, everything is fine. But, and he hesitated, he mumbled a little. Swami got furious. He fired him and said, speak up what you want to. The man said, Swami, I have found another guru who is going to lead me on the path of liberation. He is going to lead me to moksha. Swami laughed heartily at it. Swami was like a child. At a moment, he was very happy, at some other moment he would, at the next moment he would be very furious. So Swami was very amused to find that this man had found a guru who was going to teach him how to go on the path of moksha or liberation. Swami said, is it? I would like to take darshan of this guru of yours. Can you take me to him? It's not proper that he comes here, because such a great man who's giving you moksha, I will go and see who he is. Now Swami is actually called Brahmanda Nayak. That is, he is the Lord of the universe. But still, to find out and to educate us about a true guru, this particular instance was played upon by him. The devotee agreed to take Swami to that guru. Along with Swami, a few more devotees followed. They all went to that guru's house. On hearing that Swami had come, the guru came out, prostrated in front of Swami and said, yes, sir. So Swami said, it seems you are going to teach this man how to walk on the path of moksha or liberation. Is it true? Even I would like to learn. The man could not say anything. The guru was a little confused, because he knew, and Swami knew, that this man was a cheat. In fact, by giving his devotee all such small miracles or tricks, he was extracting money from him. This guru was a householder and he had to feed his family. Expenses were not being borne by anyone else, and therefore he thought this was the only way he could use his small occult powers or siddhis, get some money from those people who were innocent and believed in him, and use it for his family's welfare. Swami said, how is it you're going to take him to the path of moksha? The man had no answer. Swami said, come, now I'm going to teach you all something. He told his sevak to tie this guru and that devotee who had this man as his guru. He told the sevak to tie these two men to opposite trees. Then he told the devotee who was tied to the opposite tree, shout out loudly to your guru, whom you have called as your guru, and tell him, free me, liberate me, untie me. The devotee did that. Then Swami turned to the guru and said, now you shout loudly, I'm coming now, I'm going to liberate you, I'm going to untie you. That man followed it. This went on for quite some time. The devotee was screaming, untie me, and the guru who was also tied said, yes, I'll come and liberate you. After some time, everyone was watching this, devotees were watching. The sevak who had tied both these men to the opposite trees, Swami ordered that sevak, untie them now. He said, why is it that the guru could not liberate that man or untie that man? So the guru said, Swami, such a question from you is really, unthinkable of. How can I untie him when I myself was bound to that tree? So then Swami said, did you understand what you are saying? You yourself are a householder. You yourself have got so many bondages. How are you going to free a man who is also in bondage? Can one man in bondage free another man in bondage? It's like one blind man leading another blind man. Where will they go? Nowhere. So he tells the devotee, don't go after all such gurus. These are not gurus. These are just people who are out to cheat you and extract money from you. If you want a true guru, the only guru that you can have is either a Grantha Guru or name chanting of the Lord. He also turned to the guru and said, do not have such type of siddhis or occult powers which are going to destroy family fabric. It's not good for you. You'll have to pay for it very badly later on. In this way, Swami educated not only those two and the devotees present then, but even us till date. Because in Kali Yuga, we have lots of people who wear ochre colored clothes and present themselves as gurus to the world. But we should know who is our actual guru. Swami says, don't give up your material duties, but keep your focus on Him. Him means the ultimate God. And he says, carry on your work. Just like Shirdi Sai Baba had two words as advice to all devotees, Shraddha and Saburi, that is faith and patience. Same way, Swami gives us an assurance that He is there to back us. His famous quotation is, भिऊ नकोस, मी तुझ्या पाठीशी आहे. विच मीन्स डू नॉट फिअर, आय एम देअर विथ यू ऑल द टाईम. अवधूत चिंतनम श्री गुरुदेव दत्त.